What's up guys, Humphrey Yang here. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you guys are here because today I got a new neon light. Isn't it so cool? They're clouds. So I got it last Friday. I'm pretty happy about it. I know that it doesn't really get shown off that much because there's another light right here that's kind of blocking how glorious it is, but it's there and it'll be there for a little bit. So hopefully you like that. Today's video is about the 6 dumbest purchases I've made in my 20s and how you can learn from me to not make the same mistakes. And so hopefully you get something from this. Let's get right into the video. Before we get started, I just want to say that subscribing is free. I got asked this question by my friend's mom yesterday. She wanted to know if subscribing was free. She thought by clicking the subscribe button that she would actually be charged like a monthly recurring fee or anything like that. That is not the case. Subscribing is completely free. We're up to 12,000 subs on our channel today, which is crazy. I was so happy to see that this weekend. And that's like half an NBA stadium, maybe a little bit more than half an NBA stadium. That's really great. So thank you for being here. Let's get on with the video. The first dumbest purchase I ever made in my 20s was buying this book right here. Let me show you guys what this is. This is the French Laundry Cookbook by Thomas Keller. Basically, the French Laundry is a 3-star Michelin restaurant up in Napa, California. I think it's actually in Yountville. And I had a cooking phase in my early 20s. I would watch cooking shows a lot. I would watch Gordon Ramsay a lot. And because of that, I got inspired to buy this book. This cookbook cost me $60. And it's really heavy, actually. And if we just look through and leaf through the pages, I mean, the pages are actually quite beautiful. Like, let me find you guys. I mean, look, this is just like professional cooking stuff. And I might have leafed through this the first day, but I ended up not ever trying any recipe in it because the recipes were so advanced that I didn't have any of that on hand, and I wasn't about to go to, Safeway or the grocery store near me and drop a bunch of money on a recipe that I wasn't even gonna eat. In retrospect, this is probably one of the worst purchases I've ever made. I haven't touched it since. It's actually just been on a bookshelf behind you guys for the last 10 years or so, or whatever, how long it's been. And it's funny because purchases like this really add up. So this was $60 at the time. I think right now on Amazon it might be a little bit cheaper. I also did the same thing with the Legend of Zelda book right here. This thing was on eBay. I think I paid $50 for this book. I looked through it once because I thought, I don't know, who needs a Legend of Zelda book? Like, let's be real. Let's look at the art in here too. Oh wow, okay, well that's actually kind of beautiful. And I think, if you're a graphic designer or an artist, that this could be a pretty cool item. But these 2 books cost me $110 and in total. And basically what I'm trying to say is that if I made a purchase like this every month, $50, $40, it adds up. $600 on like a year on a useless purchase like this where you leaf through it once and that's it. Not a great idea. So that is my number 1 biggest mistake. Dumbest purchase number 2 is actually Omakase Sushi Dinners. If you guys don't know what omakase means or what it basically is the Japanese translation for trust me. Basically, you go to a Japanese restaurant and it's pretty small in general, and the chefs make you whatever is on their menu. And you pay a set price. It's a prefix meal, and it's generally pretty tasty. Like, it is really good, guys. Like, don't get me wrong, omakase is the best. However, it is expensive. I would say at minimum, it's $100 a person, maybe sometimes up to $200 a person. And in general, it should be reserved for special occasions. And the times that I did go for a special occasion or on like a special date night, I really enjoyed my time with omakase. However, I would say I was getting into a habit early in my 20s where I would just go every other month or every month. And that was just a little bit too much. And looking back on it now, I've probably spent thousands of dollars on omakase sushi when really that same amount of money could have bought me 10 normal Japanese dinners at a normal Japanese restaurant that I really love anyway. The other thing I want to add about omakase sushi is that when you go a little bit too often, like every month like I was going, it just makes it less unique and less special. And it doesn't taste as good when you go every month. But if you go once in a while, it's actually quite an experience. And it's, I think it just improves the experience overall. The price to value on omakase sushi for me is no longer worth it. I still enjoy it once in a while. I would say I haven't been in a couple years now, but if it was a once in a year thing, totally fine, totally get it. At this point in my life, guys, I think that Omakase Sushi was probably, looking back on it, one of my bigger mistakes in my 20s as well. My third biggest financial mistake was trying to get into a hobby that I had actually no interest in. It was flying school. And I went to my local airport when I was like 25, and I inquired about flying school because I wanted to get flying lessons. My dad was a pilot, so I thought that this would impress him if I, was proactive and went to the airport and kind of inquired myself about flying school. But in the end, I didn't even touch any of the material, and it ended up costing me like $295 for something that I wasn't actually into. I think what I realized was, before I get into a hobby, maybe I should dip my toes into it first. And this is something that you can learn and take away from me, is that if you're trying to get into something new, don't spend a ton of money on it just yet. Try to dip your toes in first, maybe find as much resources as you can online, try to do some stuff that's free, and see if you're still interested in that hobby before you're committing actual dollars to it. What I did wrong in this case was, well, I thought I was into it, but I was really just more into the idea of it, and I ended up spending $290 that I'll never see again. Basically, I lit my money on fire. The fourth dumbest purchase I ever made was a bomber jacket from a really fancy designer brand. I think this jacket costed me $1,500 at the time, and at the time I was making a lot of money, and that's how I justified this purchase. And also, I was a little bit influenced too much by the branding and the elusiveness of the brand, that I think I chose the jacket because of the brand and not how it looked. It was actually a pretty ugly jacket in my opinion. It was slate gray, it didn't really fit me that well, and also, I don't know, I just never wore it because it was so expensive. Like I just felt so bad if I wore it because I was afraid of ruining it. I ended up just leaving it in my closet for a while, and then my friend Dave actually bought it from me for like $300 or $500 or some ridiculous amount that was way lower than what I paid for it. And I think what that lesson really taught me was, don't get sucked into the hype. Like, thinking back on it now, I probably bought it because it was a status symbol and kind of showed, at least in my head, it would show off that, I made a bunch of money and I could afford a $1,500 jacket. But the truth is, it looked bad. Nobody knew it was $1,500. And at the end of the day, I never wore it. So that was a pretty dumb purchase. And I'll say the same thing for fast fashion. I used to buy a lot of t-shirts that were really just poorly made and just didn't last me a long time. Or I would buy socks or underwear that would last, 6 months to 12 months and just end up having to rebuy them. So fast fashion, while it is cheap, you oftentimes have to replace those items because of how quickly they wear out. My fifth dumbest purchase ever was the Herman Miller Embody desk chair. This chair, I think, cost me between $1,500 and $1,800 in 2011. At the time, I was playing a lot of online poker, so I was at my desk a lot and I was sitting a lot. And the way I justified it was, well, if I'm gonna be sitting for this long, I might as well get the most ergonomic desk chair that I could. And I asked around in my poker community, and one player that was my friend, he was a lot better than I was, suggested that I get the Herman Miller Embody. And without even testing or trying it out at a retail store, I just kind of bought it online and went with it. At the time, I thought it was a good purchase because it was gonna be better for my body, but I ended up just not really liking it. It was made of cloth, so it would get really hot whenever I would sit in it. I tried some other chairs out after a while, and I realized, well, I like some of these other chairs, and they don't cost $1,500 to $1,800. So word of mouth was really powerful in this case. I trusted one of my friends so much that I just wanted to buy it buy it just to be like him. And it was probably another status thing. Like, I wanted to be on the same level as him, and I bought the chair because maybe it would make me like him. You'll see this a lot with athletes. Athletes will be sponsored by Nike, and people that want to be like them will buy their clothes. So in a way, I got influenced by my friend who is better at me at poker than I was. I actually ended up selling that chair on Craigslist about 2.5 years ago after I never used it. It had always had a bunch of problems, but I got rid of it. It just goes to show you, I think you should try things out before you buy them, and don't buy things just because your friends have them or because your favorite celebrity has them. The sixth and final thing that I spent too much money on was digital goods. I used to play a lot of video games online and a lot of mobile games, and a lot of these mobile games have digital purchases. So sometimes I would get frustrated, or I wanted like some more fun or entertainment in the game, and I would spend some money on these digital goods. Looking back on it now, I've probably spent $1,000 to $2,000 on digital goods in my 20s, and I have nothing to show for it. They're not physical goods, and the experiences that they offered weren't as good as real life experiences. They were mostly impulse buys or frustration purchases, and that's how the games were designed, is to kind of get you to spend money when you're frustrated or impulsive. So yeah, that was my 6th financial biggest mistake in my 20s. I think it was a dumb purchase to buy digital goods and digital currencies. They don't really offer you any utility other than they look cool in the game or they make your game presence a lot better. Those typically don't last a long time and they're short-term purchases. I hope this video was helpful and that you can learn from my mistakes. So let me know what some of your worst financial mistakes are. No matter how bad they are, I guarantee you they're not as bad as some of the ones that I've made. For example, with my French laundry cookbook, or my digital goods, or my overpriced jacket, bomber jacket. As always, thanks for watching my videos. I will be back on Friday with another video, so stay tuned. And also, I am replying to all comments within the first 30 minutes of posting my video, which goes out at 9 a.m. Pacific or 12 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays and Fridays. So I will see you guys in the comments section. Goodbye.